In the heart of Egypt, where the Nile flows eternally and waters the land, Antinoe stands majestically. Emperor Hadrian built this city in the year 130 upon the ruins of the ancient pharaonic Besa. This city was destined to become the holy city of martyrs and to write glorious pages of spiritual history. The Egyptians called it Ansena, and it carries a heavy legacy of faith and holiness through the centuries. The Holy Family blessed the region with their presence, there where the so-called Spring of the Cloud gushes forth. Great ascetics such as Paisios the Great, St. John the Short, and Athanasius the Great sanctified the place. In this setting, during the dark times of the persecutions, the tragic story of Arian unfolds. Arian was the governor of the Thebaid, and his story is both tragic and redemptive for every believer. This man originated from Antioch of Syria and served as a doorkeeper at the imperial gate of Numeria. His fate became inextricably linked with Diocletian, who was then known as Agrippa or Diocles at court. Diocletian at that time served as a groom and musician in the imperial stables of Emperor Numerian. The hagiographic tradition preserves a particular account of how these two men rose to power. Diocletian was skilled at the flute and managed to enchant the daughter of King Numerian with his music. Through bribery of Arian, who guarded the entrance, Diocletian managed to enter the palace. The conspiracy that followed also had Maximian as an accomplice and led to the overthrow of the royal family. After the murder of Numerian, Diocletian was proclaimed emperor in the year 284. As a reward for his silence and cooperation, Arian received the title of governor of Antinoe. He acquired absolute power in the region of Upper Egypt with orders to crush Christianity without any mercy. Arian settled in Antinoe and initially displayed diplomatic behavior toward the population of the region. He married Dadiana, daughter of the previous governor Heracliman and sister of Saint Acheleuthus the physician. However, the issuance of Diocletian's edicts in the year 303 transformed him into a harsh persecutor. Arian became one of the worst persecutors the Church of Christ has ever known in history. He swore to torture Christians until their blood reached the knee of his horse. This horrific promise was literally fulfilled in the great massacres that followed in many regions of Egypt. In the massacre of Ansena, he led approximately 160,000 Christians to martyrdom with indescribable cruelty and fury. Among the victims was Bishop Ammonios, whom Arian tortured as an example before the crowd. In the massacre of Akhmim, over 3 days he killed 8,140 people without any pity. Blood flooded the streets to such an extent that his horse slipped in the blood of the martyrs. Thus, his terrible saying was fulfilled, proving the inhuman cruelty of his heart at that time. His fury did not spare even his own household and his beloved ones. His wife Dadiana protested strongly against the imprisonment of her brother Acheleuthus and courageously left him. Arian sent her to be tortured in Bahnasa and ultimately executed her himself in Antinoe. Along with his wife, he also executed her brother Acheleuthus, showing that no one was safe. Particularly moving is the martyrdom of Saint Timothy and his wife Maura, who were newlyweds. They had been married only 20 days when they were arrested and brought before the cruel governor for interrogation. Arian blinded Timothy with red-hot irons to his eyes, causing him unbearable pain and terrible suffering. He tried to use Saint Maura to persuade her husband to deny his faith. Instead, Saint Maura also confessed Christ with courage and boldness before the tyrant. The governor crucified them facing each other and left them to die slowly for 9 whole days in horrible torment. Finally, they surrendered their spirits after many terrible tortures, glorifying God until their last breath. Redemption for Arian came through the blood of his victims in a way no one expected. The turning point was the martyrdom of the musician Filimon and Apollonius, the deacon or reader of the church. Apollonius lost courage before the tortures and desperately sought help from the pagan flutist Filimon. He asked him to wear his clothes and offer sacrifice to the idols in his place. He also gave him 4 gold coins as payment to persuade him to accept this arrangement. However, as soon as Filimon put on Apollonius's robe, he was immediately and unexpectedly illuminated by divine grace. He publicly confessed his faith in Christ before all those present with courage and boldness. The governor ordered Filimon to come and play his flute to entice the confessor. He wanted to use the sweetness of the melody to persuade the one confessing Christ to deny his faith. When Filimon heard the order, he revealed that he himself was the one they were asking to play music. He disclosed that he had disguised himself in Apollonius's form, and that he now believed in the true God. The Greek pagans urged him to deny Christ, but the brave Filimon did not yield for a moment. Then the governor reproached him, saying that he labors in vain if he has not previously received baptism. He told him that one who has not been lawfully baptized in the church is forbidden to be numbered among Christians. Because Filimon was thus reproached, he prayed with faith, and rain fell only upon him. All those present were astonished by this wondrous sign that occurred before their eyes. Saint Filimon understood that this rain became his baptism from God himself. No Christian dared to baptize him out of fear of the governor, and so God intervened. Then the saint prayed for the flutes he had given to Apollonius in exchange to disappear. Then fire came down from heaven and consumed them in Apollonius's hands before all those present. Because Saint Apollonius had been the cause of Philimon's belief, he too was brought before the governor. There he also proclaimed his faith in Christ with courage, and the soldiers cut the sinews of his feet. They dragged him through the entire city to humiliate him and to terrorize the other Christians. Arian became enraged and shot arrows at Saint Filimon without any pity. Then something paradoxical and wondrous occurred that changed the course of history forever and overturned everything. The arrows bounced off by an invisible force, and one of them pierced the eye of Arian himself. The cruel governor was blinded by the very weapon he used against the martyr. Filimon, before his martyrdom, prophesied that the governor would be healed in a specific and unique way. He would need to place soil from their tomb on his eye after their martyrdom in order to regain his sight. The proud governor remained blind and desperate, unable to bear the physical and spiritual pain. He went secretly at night to the martyr's tomb, hoping for the healing that Filimon had prophesied. He made clay with the soil and blood of the martyrs and applied it to his blind eye. Immediately he regained his sight, and the physical light brought with it spiritual light to his soul. Arian believed in Christ and wondered how a God he had fought against had done him this good. The conversion of Arian shocked the entire empire and caused tremendous turmoil in Roman authority. He immediately freed the Christians and presented himself to Diocletian in Alexandria to confess his faith. The emperor could not believe that his right hand had become a Christian and tried to change his mind. When he failed, he ordered him to be buried alive in a pit covered with heavy stones and earth. He ordered the soldiers to dance above that spot, mocking the god of Arian with blasphemies. They shouted that if he can, let the god of Arian come now and bring him out of the tomb. Miraculously, an angel of the Lord transported Arian into the bedchamber of Diocletian's own palace. The tyrant emperor was terrified before this inexplicable and wondrous event that occurred before him. This miracle led to faith the 4 bodyguards of the king, called the protectorates or protectors. Scientific research on the Sinai palimpsests brings to light unique details about these 4 martyrs. The Aramaic palimpsest preserves the name of Theotokos as the leader of the protectorates who spoke with boldness. In the preserved dialogue, the protectors declare that Arian is not a magician, but a God-fearing man. They said that whoever trusts in God, even if he dies, will be resurrected according to their faith. Finally, Diocletian ordered Arian and the 4 protectors to be placed in sacks filled with sand. They threw them into the Sea of Alexandria, and there God allowed their souls to ascend to the heavenly kingdom. This occurred in the year 305, and thus the earthly journey of Saint Arian and his companions was completed. Saint Arian had prophesied that his body would return to Antinoe in a wondrous manner. Indeed, dolphins received the sacks with the holy relics and transported them to the coast of Egypt. The Christians waited at the shore according to Saint Arian's exhortation to witness something wondrous. The faithful received his precious body in amazement and placed it on a boat in the Nile Delta. By divine intervention, Saint Arian appeared to the Christians of Antinoe and called them to await him. They waited for him with lit candles at the harbor of Antinoe, and the boat stopped there on its own. The Christians ceremoniously received his remains and buried them with great honors beside the martyrs. They buried him next to Filimon and Apollonius, uniting forever the executioner who became a martyr. Contemporary field research at Antinoe has brought to light significant findings that confirm the hagiographic tradition. The excavations revealed the church and the tomb where the relics of Saint Arian and his fellow martyrs were found. The relics of Apollonius, Filimon, Acoluthus, Dadiana, and thousands of other martyrs were also found. Most of these relics are incorrupt, fragrant, and exude myrrh wondrously to this day. The memory of Saint Arian is honored on the 14th of December in the Orthodox Church worldwide. His story reminds everyone of God's love for humanity and the power of divine grace. Even the harshest persecutor in history can be transformed into a luminous martyr of Christ.